Wakey wakey, eggs and bakey, it's time for new music coming out. Apologies for my hair, I got out of the shower not too long ago and it's not agreeing with me. But hey, now that we're in our Lord and Savior year 2025, where everything's gonna inevitably fall apart, no it's not. There's a whole host of brand new metal and rock albums that have been announced to be released in 2025, slated to be. And I'm going to be going over the ones that have concrete release dates, but that's not all. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of speculation, investigative journalism, if you will. And by investigative journalism, I mean looking at bands that have a specific trajectory of how they release material and trying to sort of look at that and gauge whether or not it's likely or not they're gonna drop something. Now, that being said, I am one dumb idiot, so I can only know so many things. So let me know down in the comment section below the records that you're most anticipating in 2025, as well as some maybe speculation. Whether it's realistic or not, what bands do you want to see come out with new material? All That Remains is going to be dropping Anti-Fragile, and God, I am so excited for this thing. This is probably one of my most anticipated albums of 2025. I saw All That Remains on tour last year with Mudvayne and Megadeth. Phenomenal, by the way. And I just have a soft spot for All That Remains. I feel like they've gone through so much as a band that they are coming out the other side ready to kick ass and take names, and it only amplifies the excitement for this record that every single release thus far has been killer. That OG metalcore style that I salivate over is back in full swing, so if you are gonna want a full helping of that, a damn buffet of it, you have All That Remains to look forward to. Harakiri For The Sky, or Harakiri For The Sky, however you want to pronounce it, is releasing an album, Scorched Earth. If you're unfamiliar with this project, get out from under your rock. I'm just kidding, they're not that well known, but they should be more well known than they are. I feel like they're one of those names that people know on the fringe, but don't really know what they sound like. One might call them the bad word, black gaze. And God, every time they release something, it is some of the most fun and atmospherically beautiful, well-produced black metal music to come out of the atmospheric black metal lane. I am always so excited to see their experimentation and how they're gonna up the ante, and I am sure this record is gonna be no different. For all of the bitches in the corner doing calculus, there's going to be a new Dream Theater record coming out in 2025 entitled Parasomnia. Now, if you think it's just a bunch of pretentious wankfest prog stuff, bear with me. This is a pretty big record in the canon of Dream Theater, because this is the first album since I believe like 2009 to feature Mike Portnoy back in the band on drums. The legendary drummer Mike Portnoy is coming back in full swing. He hasn't been with the band for 15 years at this point, so it is a huge deal that this is going to feature him on it. Now, once again, it's a little wank fest because it is like over an hour's worth of material, but if it is a good hour's worth of material, I'm pretty excited for it. Killswitch Engage is going to be dropping an album called This Consequence. I've been a little critical of the recent Killswitch Engage material. I'm not the biggest fan of the Jesse era, but I do think that they are very consistent, and their last album did get a lot of people excited. This is their first album since the pandemic time period, so that is a big deal for them. While I am heavily skeptical, there is a new Architects record coming out in 2025, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. I mean, I don't really know what to make of this thing. I'm probably gonna review it when it comes out. I'm definitely going to check it out. I love Architects, I love their early material, I love everything up to Holy Hell, but then they just took a nosedive after that. They just decided, hey, we're like at the top of our game and we have hundreds of copycat bands that are literally sucking our dicks to try to sound like us. We're like the biggest thing in this. So you know what we need to do? Change our style and drive off of a cliff. Which, more power to them. They're allowed to do whatever they want as musicians, but at the end of the day, I just think the new material has fucking sucked. So I guess I'm just curious to see if they follow suit and it's more of the same, or if they do something else with their style. I mean, regardless, I feel like it's going to be an album worth looking at and listening to at the minimum. A couple of records that are going to be dropping around the same time would be Arch Enemy's record, Blood Dynasty, and Spiritbox's sophomore album, Tsunami Sea. I can't even hide my excitement. I am a lot more excited for the Spiritbox record, big surprise. Eternal Blue was one of my favorite albums of that entire year. It was flawless, it was phenomenal, it was majorly unique in what it tried to do, but felt very familiar, and I think Courtney is one of the most standout vocalists currently in metal. And when it comes to Arch Enemy, I'm more so just expecting a lot more of the same, just that classic, chunky, melodic death metal style. It's gonna be some chunky riffs, I know it. I'm just really excited to see what Spiritbox does on this album. I think that the singles released have been very solid. I think they've been high quality. I think it is very similar to Eternal Blue, and I'm just assuming that they're probably going to be sticking to the formula that proved to be winning on Eternal Blue. Which, shout out to the beautiful Eternal Blue vinyl that my friend bought for me years back. Next up, I'm going to include some bands that are actively working on new albums, but we don't have a concrete release as of the filming of this video as to when those albums are going to be dropping, but I'm just wanting to put on your guys' radar that these bands are doing something. So starting off that, Imperial Triumphant are working on a new album, really phenomenal, that awesome cinematic epic sort of mixture of different styles and jazz fusion and stuff. Black Braid is working on Black Braid 3, which, oh my god, Native American black metal, coolest shit ever. If you happen to miss Black Braid 1 or 2, go check it out with some of the coolest black metal to release the years that it did, and I'm really excited to see what sort of this saga or trilogy or whatever it ends up being ends up imposing. Slipknot with Look Outside Your Window. So this is a weird one, because Slipknot, this evidently was recorded alongside a much older album back in the 2000s, and 4 members of Slipknot are working on this album, and it's unclear if it's going to be re-recordings of older material, if it's going to be remastered versions of old material, but it is being labeled as a new album. And initially, this was supposed to drop back in 2021, I believe, but then the pandemic as well as touring and stuff fucked with a lot of stuff, and so it just got pushed back. But there has been confirmation that it should be dropping in 2025, so one way or another we should be getting new Slipknot material in 2025. Whether or not it's this record or what form that record comes in, that remains to be seen. And all of the following bands are supposedly working on stuff: Mayhem, Megadeth, Merciful Fate, fucking Merciful Fate, Misery Index, which I want to say, super stoked for a new Misery Index record. I think that they make some of the coolest death grind material. I just recommended them to someone the other day that was asking for bands like Benighted. Motionless in White are supposedly working on a new album. Really excited to see what they do in this new era of sort of alt-rock, alt-metal being mixed with metalcore, but they still have those bangers like Slaughterhouse with Brian Garris of Knock Loose and stuff. They've kind of distanced somewhat from the like ghoulish, horny music they used to make on like records like Graveyard Shift and Reincarnate and stuff, and even Disguise to a lesser degree. So I'm curious to see if they are going to continue to distance from that, or if that's going to be something that we can expect more of. Obviously, really hyped to see new Megadeth and Mayhem releases. Really happy to see Dave Mustaine in a lot better of a place. There's also new material being worked on by Possessed. I obviously have had my issues with Possessed in the past, and I was pretty critical of their last album for my own reasons, but I am really excited to see new material. And then you have Wormrot. Holy shit, the Singaporean grindcore band Wormrot, do not miss. They make some of the best grind music that is currently being made, and I would love to see a new record from them in 2025. Whitechapel's coming off the back of Visceral Wretch, the amazing single that was one of, if not the best deathcore releases of the entire year of 2024. Whitechapel is supposedly working on new material. You have At the Gates working on new material. You have Dimmu Borgir working on new material, as well as supposedly Deftones working on new material. And then we just have some of my speculation bands that I would like to hear something from, or bands that I think we might hear something from. So obviously we're getting a new Breaking Benjamin release, super stoked for that, but some bands that I would love to see more from. Currents, I feel like should be working on something. Counterparts, Volumes, I would love to hear new material from Loathe. I think that is very much overdue, and everyone would shit their pants at a new Loathe record. Bring Me the Horizon should probably be dropping something in 2025, because I know that Ollie said they want to go on hiatus, but that they want to release something beforehand, and whether that's going to be like a miniature little EP or something, or an album, or whatever it may be. I do think the post-human era is coming to an end, because he said that he has a little bit more to say for it, so I do expect to see something from that. Surprisingly, and I might be in the minority here, I don't expect Knock Loose to have a quiet 2025. I know that they have been very consistent. They are playing massive festivals, they're going on massive shows, they had a huge album, one of the biggest albums in metal in 2024, and that's the exact reason I don't expect them to be quiet. I wouldn't be surprised if we got another album that is similar length of, or like an EP or something. I feel like that is pretty reasonable, or at least some single to just keep that momentum up now that they're blowing up so heavily. Bullet for My Valentine's, another band I would like to see what they would do, although I'm not really expecting too terribly much from them realistically. Wishful thinking, but I'd love to see some things from Within Destruction. I think it'd be awesome to see a Within Destruction record. Maybe something from Infant Annihilator I think would be really funny. I want to see Icy Stars actually make a comeback and be halfway decent, because I've just not been a fan of their more recent material, and I think it lost the flair of their old school stuff. And I could rant and ramble for a long time, but I'm going to leave it at that. But I want to know what your guys' most anticipated albums of 2025 are, both speculation-wise as well as things with concrete releases. You can let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Do you think the bands I listed are going to come out with new material, and which of the albums are you most hyped for on this list? I'd also love to hear your opinions on that. Agree or disagree, there is no wrong answer, but let me know down in the comment section below. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.